was thinking as I was listening to the wonderful talks that came before, like, wow, this is going to come out of left field. So it's a very personal story about how I have iterated on my career for a long time. And I will say, we have the choice to be bold and seize the moment now. Now is the moment. But yet, the world is continuing to change. But that's what I have experienced over the past 30 years of my career. So I'm not going to say put your cell phones away, but instead whip them out and see if you can scan the QR code there, because I'd love to know how you really feel about AI. You can be honest because it's totally anonymous. So please share how you're feeling about AI. Is it scanning okay for y'all? Yeah, I had one audience that was all panic. Mostly. All right. Cool, cool. Yeah, I love it. It's just so interactive. Just every audience is so different, and they take different things away from it. So cool. Yeah, thank you so much for thanks so much for sharing. So this talk is for you if maybe like me, you're experiencing uncertainty in your career, wondering what's next, and maybe how do I remain relevant in a rapidly changing world? These are the things that I've had to wrestle with over the years. And in 2023, I was laid off twice in the same year. And so not only I was laid off and I didn't know what was going to come next, but unlike the previous iterations, I had already set a direction for myself and I knew what I was going to do next. And this time was very, very different. But I'm not new to adapting. I call December 25th, 1991, the day my career plans died before they even got started. Because I graduated from the University of Maryland with a degree in Russian and linguistics, and then the Soviet Union fell. And before I even had the paper diploma in my hand, I had to iterate on my career and think about what am I going to do now? I was hoping for a diplomatic career, defusing the Cold War, and all of a sudden I knew two things. Well, there's no need for my skills as a diplomat here when there's no Cold War going on, and there's a flood of Russian speakers about to come to the United States, so even my Russian speaking skills were not going to be as needed as I had thought they were going to be. So I had to adapt not only to that, but also to computers coming into the workplace and the internet and all the dot-com boom and bust and the recession and all these things, and every time I had to iterate, and it was always something I had in the forefront of my mind, and how do I remain relevant, how do I remain employable? So I guess I'll say my work life has never been a stable, set it and forget it kind of career. Has yours? I mean, yeah, I see people. So career pivots aren't actually new to me. For 30 years, I've been iterating. So I went from this Russian expert, I decided to become a technical writer, and I was doing some research, and then I noticed that people weren't calling for tech writers anymore, so I became a business analyst so I could get a job at NASA. And on my first day, I was like, man, I'm kind of, the first time I'm a business analyst, and all these other business analysts around me, I thought they would figure me out. But I did okay there, and I got into Agile, became a Scrum Master, Agile Coach, Product Manager, and finally leading Agile transitions. But I knew it was kind of the career that was dying off because a lot of companies felt that they had already adopted Agile, even though they needed help more than ever. The call wasn't there, so I was like, what am I going to do next? In 2023, I had to divorce my old identity as a tech employee for the next iteration of my career, which was to become an entrepreneur, and it was the hardest one so far because I never wanted to be an entrepreneur at all. But I knew at that moment I had to seize the moment, and I had already been upskilling in AI, and I decided to take a data science program at MIT to figure out what this AI stuff was all about, like in the nitty-gritty, and I thought I'm going to lead an AI or machine learning or data science initiative at a large organization, like I had been leading Agile transformations. And but when I finished the program, I thought, well, the tech is still kind of sucking, nobody's hiring, and this is not really what I wanted to do. So I decided to help small businesses adopt AI and do a little bit of consulting while I was upskilling myself, and found that I really, really enjoyed serving small businesses. So today, I serve small businesses and I help them with AI automations, AI consulting, and AI education. So why did I choose this, right? I want to solve problems. AI is just like Agile. It's only here to solve a problem. I can't help you implement Agile if you don't have some problem that's not going to be solved with Agile. So this is how I approach my business, right? So for me, AI is like a process improvement. If you don't have a goal or a challenge, then maybe this isn't for you. But I told you about when I finished my program at MIT that people weren't hiring. There's still tech market is still in a bit of a flux. So for 2 years, I've been studying the market because I had developed this talk to share my story, and so I've been studying the market. The broad strokes are, because a lot of people have asked me about this in my talks, is 470,000 tech employees have been laid off over the past few years. So that's a sobering number because not all of them have found jobs. So you've got really experienced people who have been on the market for a really long time now, and they're worried. Tech employment is down like 33% since January 2023, and of course tech job postings have dropped also. And you might say, well, maybe there's gig work happening for those folks. Temp work, surely, but that's also down by 20%. So the statistics are pretty sobering when you think about it. So then people say, like, well, why is this happening? For years, people were blaming COVID over hiring. This is ridiculous, but they did. But there are a few other things that people weren't talking about. For many years, interest rates were very, very low, like 3, 4%, and you could borrow money for your business, and it would be like almost 0%. So you could hire a bunch of people and build products and then make the money back really easily. Well, interest rates are a lot higher now, so that is much, much harder. Just like I got a house at 3% interest rate, and if I try to buy the same house now for that same monthly mortgage payment, it would be less than half the house. This is the impact that's on businesses too. And yet, few people are really talking about that. There are also tax law changes, Section 174. All of a sudden, you couldn't expense software development and R&D staff. You had to capitalize and amortize over 5 years. Again, nobody's talking about this. So Section 174 came as a surprise, and that was one impact. The other thing is, gosh, you see all the media darlings laying off staff, and their stock goes up, and they're not experiencing any negative impact. So if you're a CEO, your board is going to come to you like, hey, what is wrong with you? They're laying off staff, and their stock price goes up. They're doing well. So, you're kind of dumb if you don't do it. So there's peer pressure. There's like, that's why I've got the sheep here on the slide. A lot of market and peer pressure going on to have the layoffs. And lastly, only recently were companies saying, oh, I'm investing in AI. So it's not just AI. This layoff stuff is happening way before AI became popular and companies started saying they're investing in AI. But the job market is actually not bad at all. There are many, many jobs being added. So I pulled this from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and you can see hundreds of thousands of jobs being added. But where are they? They're just not in tech. So this kind of sucks for us in tech. For years, we've had the pick of the litter. We could, we knew if we were laid off or we want to get another job, we could just quit and get another one, or we're laid off, get another one really easily. And it was a really well-paying job. So we never had to worry about this before. But all of a sudden, the jobs that are existing are at lower pay points than we've had before. So it's really struggling. And I had a friend of mine who was laid off and looking for a job for a year, more than a year. And she said, I thought about becoming an ultrasound technician because they make good wage and the training is pretty easy, but you have to stand in a small windowless room all day. This wasn't her thing. So the jobs are different, they might pay less, and it's just something that maybe we as tech employees didn't want. So they're in healthcare, they're in government. I know there are government layoffs, but local government. This is from 2023 to 2025. So some of these numbers are gonna change a bit coming up. Anything having to do with finance, advisor, fintech, those are all big. And professional and business services, which some of that is technology, but it's wider than just technology. So this is where the jobs have been seeing increases. So then I started to think about, well, where are we going with this AI stuff? So the World Economic Forum came out with this amazing report over the past 2023 and 2025. So these are the top in-demand verticals that are going to be popular, they predict, through 2030. And it had something like 700 businesses and basically a report for every single country in the world. So for the US, the top in-demand verticals are going to be things like cybersecurity, data and analytics. I know you can predict that one. Healthcare is going to continue to be big. We have an aging population because of climate change, lots of green technology. I'm sharing these areas because if you are looking to change direction, think about what's coming next for you. Maybe some of these will resonate for you. And all of these are going to have AI embedded in some way, shape, or form in all these. So fintech and education, anything with secondary education is also going to be big. So if you're thinking about iterating on your career, then these are some top in-demand verticals where if you have expertise, you can probably get a job there. But having shared this job market news and all this kind of stuff, think about, where do you think you're going to be in 10 years? If I look back 10 years, what I'm thinking about, I had no clue. None of the jobs that I thought I was going to be in, I was in after 10 years. Most people who are entering into the workforce today are going to be in careers and jobs that don't even exist yet. So, if you don't believe me, let me show this picture. This is a taxi cab in the early 1900s. There was tens of thousands of people around this business, right? You've got the, from feeding the horses and grooming and veterinarians and the carriage wheels and all that stuff, the leather working, and all those were gone within 10 years. Well, surely there were people saying, no, I don't want to stop. This is my career. I want to do it. But you can't stop the train. So AI is here, and we've got to embrace it. 40% of the jobs that exist today didn't exist in 1940. None of my jobs that I've ever had existed in 1940 for sure. But the statistics are sobering when you think about a quarter of us are going to have to transform our jobs in just 3 years. And also, many of us are going to have to change industries entirely. So you may not know where you're going to be. You kind of have to embrace this uncertainty, right? Which is not to say that jobs won't be there. I hear all this scare tactics about AI is going to come and take all our jobs. But here's what I do know. Based on past history, well, maybe AI is different, but humans are infinitely resourceful, and we will figure out what happens next. We just can't predict what's going to happen next. All this is kind of just happening, right? But you should be upskilling, because 2/3 of us will need to upskill by 2030. And it's important that you think about this daily. No longer can we end up without just the same thinking that we had, that our parents had. I'm going to get my degree and I'll be set in my degree in design or whatever it is, right? We have to prepare for constant reinvention and uncertainty. We're not going to be the same job for 40 years. You might have 12 to 15 jobs through your career, the rest of your career, and I can't even tell you what those are going to be. Many people can't tell you what your job is going to look like. So your greatest strength isn't going to be what you know right now, but the skills you are able to learn along the way, and the amount that you can reinvent yourself, remain adaptable, see what's happening on the forefront. So for your industry, follow the people on the forefront of the industry. I've already heard someone say, mention Ethan Mollick, who's a great person who's talking about AI all the time. There's a bunch of people out there. So for your niche and your industry, follow those people who are on the forefront, who are leveraging AI in areas that are relevant to you, and keep following them, keep experimenting. In jobs, because they're going to be changing so rapidly, you're probably going to see a decrease in full-time employment, or even full-time employees are going to have to take skills-based assessments. And there are going to be platforms that support this, so they'll be able to tell what skills you have. So if you're not remaining upskilled as a full-time employee, you won't be selected for those jobs that need those skills. So it's going to be really, really important that you remain upskilled. Think about it like a weekly thing, at least, right? And there's some statistics out there that say that 50% of the US population will be freelancing in just the next few years. That's scary. I never thought I was going to be one of these people. I thought, no, it's not going to happen to me. That doesn't mean that you might not also have a full-time job, but already, remember, for those of us in tech, we got paid well enough where we didn't really need side gigs. The people I'm meeting now and have met over the past 3 years, like I work in education, and also I do this, right? So they have side gigs already, but this is really crucial for a rapidly changing world. You never know when your primary employment might go away suddenly. So it's really good to think about diversifying your skill set and start some side gig. And just remember the statistics. It might happen to you like it happened to me. So what does this mean for you, to kind of tie it up? Long-term roles might turn into more short project-based gigs. Your experience does matter, but not if you don't have some relevance to today. So it's less about, I've got 15 years experience in X, and more, what's the impact I can make today? And can you make this impact now? And a large majority of that is going to be your AI skills. Your work will be continually evolving. There's not going to be, or very few careers where you can say, they're not going to be changed hugely by AI, especially if we're in some way leveraging technology or working in tech. So be prepared to evolve yourself. So just curious, how often do you leverage generative AI in your daily life? Just grab your cell phones. Whether it's personal, work. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. AI skills are becoming a job requirement. Right? We know that to be true. Hiring managers want to hire people with AI skills, and most of them say, I'd rather hire a less experienced person who knows AI than a more experienced person who doesn't know AI. This is scary for us in our mid to late careers because it's like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this the whole time. So it's going to be hard to adapt, but it is important. And why? There's this new study came out, and I know Ethan Mollick was part of the study. It's a Procter & Gamble study. One person leveraging AI was the equivalent of 2 people not using AI. Think about that. That's huge. People using AI achieved top 10% of solutions, and they did it 12 to 16% faster. More junior staff, it leveled the experience with more senior staff, so you could have basically a more junior person be as effective as a senior person who is using AI. And people using AI experience more positive emotions. I mean, I know that I do. It's like, hey, you did this already. Wow, that's so cool. I can do this research in just a matter of minutes instead of taking me hours and hours. So a year and a half ago, I was saying treat AI like an intern. But now I'm saying, no, AI is much more than an intern. It has advanced so much. Use it like a strategic business partner. Use it as a teammate, not just as an intern. And I know that I took a data science program at MIT, and a lot of people come saying, like, do I need to take this program? You don't need to take this program. My goals changed. Generative AI is very accessible to everybody. You don't need to be technical. You don't need to get another degree. You don't need to take a course. This is another thing that people tell me, like, oh, what course should I take to learn AI? Instead of trying to take a course, start engaging with it. The number one predictor of an AI power user is someone who experiments and uses AI daily. So put it on the home screen of your phones. I've got Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, and a bunch of AI tools. And if I have a question, I just ask AI. Learn to use it for real problems that you're experiencing at home and at work. I have a very complex plumbing and water filtration system in my home, so I was like, what do I do? No plumber was coming there. No, we don't deal with that system. We don't know, it's like, how do I even do this? So I took a few pictures of it, and I asked it to explain it to me, and then explain to me how I should maintain the system, explain to me how to change the filters. So really, it's for any problem. The major thing that I see is going to connect your actual challenge, whether it's a personal challenge or a work challenge, using AI. And if you don't know where to start, you can even ask AI, hey, I have this problem at work. How do I address it? And too many people are still stuck in the weeds, so they're asking, like, generate me this LinkedIn post. No. Instead of asking it to review your resume and improve it and give you feedback on it, why don't you ask it, if you're thinking about pivoting your career, what opportunities it sees for you based on your resume and experience. Use it more strategically. Instead of asking for help with a hobby, maybe it can help you learn to monetize your side gig. And don't just take the first answer that it gives you, because that's the most common one. So one of the tricks I say is think outside the box and keep iterating on the answers, right? So a lot of people say, well, I asked it to do this. So don't dictate the solution. Tell it the outcome that you wish, just like you would do for your employee, right? You want to micromanage your employee. Well, don't micromanage the AI, just, and a lot of people say, well, I asked it this, and it gave me a crappy answer. Well, perhaps you didn't elucidate the request clearly enough, just like you would do with an employee, right? You want to be very clear about what you want it to accomplish. So be clear about what you want it to accomplish, tell it the role, tell it the outcome that you're looking for, and you'll get much, much better results than if you're trying to micromanage and be, treating it like an intern instead of a thought partner. And a lot of people get embarrassed because they start asking a few questions and they're like, it's just not good, so I'm going to give up. But no, AI is endlessly patient. It will never get mad. Keep bugging it until it gives you what you want. Don't stop. Don't stop too early. Think outside the box. Give me something different. That's too micromanagey, or that's too, that's too long, or that sounds too formal. That doesn't sound real. Yeah, just keep talking to it. So my goal here is for you to realize at the end of the day that it is not hard to learn AI. You don't need to be technical. All you need to do is start experimenting with it. Identify some real challenge or goal, whether you want to be more fit, you want to lose weight, you have a problem at work, you're trying to build a product and a quick iteration, whatever it is, have AI, not just theory, but something real for you. Then you can see what it can do for you. And for my clients, I always start with, when they say, hey, I know I need to learn AI, don't start with, I'm going to implement AI for you. Tell me if there's a challenge that you're experiencing in your business or your personal life, or a goal you're trying to achieve, and then let's see where AI can help. Much like agile, I'll say. So for you who are looking to iterate on your careers and you're feeling uncertain, know this. The future belongs to those people who can adapt quickly. Those people are going to be the ones who are experimenting, not afraid to try new things and jump in, right? We can't learn. It's like I can't read a book about riding a bicycle. I need to ride the bicycle, fall off, and figure out where my balance is. This is exactly like AI, so start now. We need to learn to communicate both with AI and with other humans, because that's going to be more and more and more important. With AI being able to do lots of communication and generate reams and reams of information, it's those people who are able to communicate with one another and each other in resonant ways. And also those people who can connect with other humans. I do believe that in-person events are going to become more important because we won't know who's on the other end. Even on a Zoom call, right? You already have these avatars that you can be somebody else. Those people who can network, connect, and build bridges. Like, in fact, I'm here because of relationships that I have built up over the past many years, and they saw me evolving my career, and they invited me. So be a connector. Help others connect. Network. Be the human connection. AI cannot replace your human skills. AI can do many things, but it will never be human. Humans generated AI, so we're always going to be thinking one step ahead of AI, right? At least now. Many skills can't be automated. And I'll give you an example. As part of the World Economic Forum report, you can see here in green that there's some technical skills here, like, okay, AI, big data, blah, blah. But look at the top skills here. They're all human ones. Analytical thinking, sorry if it's too small, analytical thinking, resilience and flexibility, leadership and social influence, empathy, service orientation. These are all human skills that AI will never be able to take from us. Okay, so have no fear. AI won't take your job. You can leverage it. It is a tool, and it can help you. So showcase these skills that you have, these very human skills. So takeaways. Your career is a product. It always has been. Only now you're going to have to iterate faster and faster and faster on your career. Remaining relevant is way more important than the experience that you have. Follow the people who are top in your space. Understand how they're leveraging AI. Start experimenting with AI. Keep iterating, keep iterating. And if you're one of the people who isn't really using AI right now, don't worry. You're not too late, but start now. Start small, but start maybe tomorrow with something little that you can just ask ChatGPT. Nobody will know that you asked it. You have to disrupt yourself before you are disrupted. So that's my call to action for you, and I really hope my story helped you. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I'm here to help you. And I have got this Reinvention Readiness Index, so if you scan the QR code and you fill out a form, I will send you, it's a 7-page document where you can figure out if you're ready to reinvent yourself and what you can do to reinvent yourself. So I'm here for you if you have any questions.